Welcome to
House of Whimsical Terror.
I'm Esther.
I'm Mary.
And we're coming to you from Tucson, Arizona.
And we're telling real stories of the fantastical.
All of our stories are true or told to us as true.
Occasionally, we alter names to protect privacy.
And places for the same reason.
And today's story is Elova's Mystic Visions.
Yes. And we have a very special guest.
We do.
Who is also one of my very favorite writers, Kim Lowry. And we've known Kim for a long time, and we know some of these stories, and they are fabulous. Some
really
are new to us.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, too. So, yeah.
Okay.
So welcome, Kim.
Hi,
Welcome.
thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show.
Oh, are you kidding?
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I was like, oh, there's a lot of great stories. Ooh, I remember this. Yeah, okay.
And
Excellent.
Elova, who's mentioned in the title, is a very special person. She's very recently passed, and she's your mom.
Yeah, my mom. My mom. Yeah.
She's
So I never
special.
called her Elova. I called her mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
Yes.
Right?
She's got a great name, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about her. Tell us about her experiences. These are fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she, I first started thinking, so there's several stories, but start from when she was a kid, and she lived in Cisco, Texas.
Another Texan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention
I
that.
told you it was
Yeah.
Texas Week.
It's
It's like Texas Week.
Texas
I don't know
Week.
how. It just
The
is.
stars at night are big and bright. Anyway, she
Yeah.
lived in Cisco, Texas. And she once told me about a time when she was walking in downtown Cisco, where Hilton had his first hotel, by the by.
interesting.
Interesting.
There's a book about it. It's about 12 pages long. Anyway. So she's walking around with her mother, my grandmother, Granny, and she has Granny's hand, and she said she was walking. My mother told me this story. She's walking along, and she says to my grandmother, she says, "Oh, Mama, look at that! Look at that around that lady. What do you think of that color?" And my grandmother was like, "Wait, what?" And my mom said, "And that man, look at him. Oh, and that man over there, I don't like that color."
Mm.
And what it was, my grandmother stopped and she took her aside, took her she had took her to the alley or something.
Uh-huh.
And she said, "What do you mean about this color around people, around that lady? What?" And my mom said she said she tried to explain to her mother, it was like a whole blanket over the person, and it enveloped their whole self.
She was seeing auras.
And
Energy.
and my grandmother at that moment said, "Okay, honey, that's all right, but I'm going to tell you something. Do not ever tell anybody else about this. Anybody. Especially don't tell your father, don't tell your grandmother, don't tell your grandfather, don't you tell anybody."
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, thinking about that later, said she realized, okay, because her grandfather on her father's side was a minister for some church of wackadoodle. The church of wackadoodle.
They're out there.
And he most likely wouldn't appreciate that at all.
So lately.
Yeah, and so she said that at that point she still saw things around people, but she really tried to just not see it. She tried to ignore it because she thought apparently it's not something that's normal.
Right.
Quote unquote.
That's so sad. But
Yeah. She said she still could, but she just didn't talk about it at all. Then other stories about her. I just think she was really open and I don't know, accessible.
Yes.
Accessible to other planes, I believe. So another story is her sister, who I think we all know. I mean, you've been my friends for a long time. You know this story.
So we know about your Aunt Neota.
My Aunt Neota, her sister, who they both grew up in this small town in Texas, and then got married. My Aunt Neota got married to this guy who, Lord, I have no idea how he got there, but I think he was a little older than her, and they got married and had moved off to Dallas-Fort Worth, the big city. And they had 2 kids, and then it didn't work out for them, so they were going through divorce. And my Aunt Neota, she got the house out in Fort Worth. And she was, a divorced woman in 1963, which wasn't a good
in Texas.
In Texas, and anywhere. Divorce at that point was never looked upon with approval.
They didn't like him in the first place. Your mother and your grandmother.
They weren't fond of him. I mean, I think he was just like not a real nice guy.
Right.
So we're going through, and I'm not sure if at this point that I'm going to tell you about is if their divorce. I think it might have gone through. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so she had a job. She would take the kids and leave them at this a friend's house when she had her job. She was a waitress, like a cocktail waitress in a club. Mm-hmm. And I read this in a newspaper article, this little detail, that this one night she finished her shift and a friend of hers was there, a woman, and who said she and Neota went out for drinks, and there was this man there who had been at the club, and he wanted to go with them. And so he went with them, and I think they knew him. He had been there at the club before. Uh-huh. So they all go out for drinks, and the woman said that he was kind of like really coming on to my aunt, and she was like, yeah, no. Uh-huh. And the friend had to go off by herself, and so she went off, and she didn't really know what else, had gone on. But what I have from all the stories about that my family told, and from the newspaper articles and any records that I could find, she and the man ended up at her house. Okay. And at some point in the middle of the morning, probably 3 something, 4 something, 5 something, whatever, a paper boy is going by that house where she and this man are, and he sees fire. And he goes to another neighbor's house and he tells them, oh my, there's a fire. Mm-hmm. So the fire department comes and they go in, and she had been murdered. They found her body there, and they found this man there, and he was alive, and the fire department pulled him out, and she had died. She had been hit in the head, and then she had died of asphyxiation because of the fire. Mm-hmm. So they arrest the man, and da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, and it's a long trial, and it's another story. He gets acquitted. He was found not guilty. And they never really, the FBI said they knew exactly what actually probably had happened, but I don't really have all those records. Yeah.
You have suspicions, but
I have suspicions, but I really can't give you any real answers.
And it makes sense that it's not that guy, because someone had, set the house on fire, and he's asleep in another room naked. That doesn't make sense that he would have stuck around.
That he would have gone outside and put gasoline around the back of the house. So that just kind of doesn't make sense. Yeah. But anyway, so there's that. But so back to my mother and what she could see. So she is after the funeral of her sister, and she is still in Cisco with her mother, with my grandmother. And she said she was outside and she was hanging laundry. That was a beautiful place. There were like pecan trees on both sides of the house, and then on one little, if you went to the back, there was was it a peach tree? Oh, it was a peach tree, which is not really normal there, but it was there. peach tree or a pear, peach, I think. And anyway, and gardens. And so she's out there hanging up the laundry, and she feels something go through her, like it's not like a wind, or there's those moments where you think, what was that?
Right,
yes. And she lost her breath, and she was like, okay. And then she turns and she sees this very small blue-colored bird sitting on the line, on the clothesline. And it's just sitting there, and it's pretty close. And she's thinking, and I don't know I can't remember if she said it, is that, Neota, is that you? And she says she gets an answer, not like the bird says, yeah, it's me. But it's some answer inside that it was. And the bird sits there for a while with her, and then it leaves.
Beautiful.
So there's that one. And then also later, after that was 63, and this was in, I think, 68. And my mother had gone through a divorce. And she is in her bedroom at our house in Colorado, up north. And and she said she woke up in the middle of the night, and there was something in the room, and she sits up and she sees at the end of her bed this art sort of figure standing there. And it's just there, and it's, maybe it's an aura. Who knows?
You said it was kind of the outline of a figure.
Yeah.
Like energy or light.
Yeah. And she said, Neota. And that she gets an answer, everything's all right. Everything's all right. And meaning for my mom, it meant that she was okay, that her sister was with her, always with her.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's my mom and her sister and the auras.
Yeah.
And there's other ones that she saw later.
So I want you to talk about the basement in your house and in Colorado. I visited that basement, and there's a particular room that I've never been in, but it's got some energy.
It's a room. When you said that, I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah. So it's it was a house in Arvada, built in, I think, 1960, 61. Anyway, it had upper floor and then basement. Well done basement. Everything's put together well. So it had, on the west side of the basement, there was a sewing and laundry room, and then a bathroom. Once we had it finished, a bathroom, and then this other room, storage room. And it had storage, and my stepdad had some old Civil War or whatever, World War I rifles or something in there. Anyway, and it was a weird room in that almost all the rooms in the basement had windows, but this one didn't. And we realized, as a kid, I realized later, it can't have a window because where it should have a window, where it would be an open space, was the base of the fireplace that was upstairs from the basement. So, and it was a big cement area. Anyway, so it was this closed off, really isolated in that manner room. It was a room we, as kids, with a friend of mine, we went in with a Ouija board once because we thought that'd be good. This will be a good room. And she said, this will be a good room for it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she knew.
Yeah, she probably knew something, but I realized that now.
She was drawn to it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we sit in there with our Ouija board on our knees, Oh, Ouija board. We're like, we didn't even have a question for the Ouija board. Oh, Ouija board. How will I do on my English exam? And I don't know, it wasn't that, but we freaked out at one point. It just felt so, we had our hands on the Ouija board and we started to shiver, and we freaked out and we jumped up, we threw the Ouija board and we ran to the door. We couldn't open the door fast enough. We smashed into it first and then we got out. But that room was a freakish room, I think.
It had those old weapons in it, so who knows?
Yeah.
They saw wartime.
Yeah, and who knows what was attached to those weapons?
What the stories were.
I mean, and so he had that. He also had a sword from a Japanese soldier that he had gotten. My stepdad had gotten. He was stationed in the Philippines in World War II.
Okay.
He had a sword, which was so incredibly sharp. And I know that. I mean, we were cautious with it. We didn't. Not like we played with it.
Right.
But
now this house was a house that your parents, you're talking, your stepdad had those guns and
but my mom and my father bought it in 61 or 62.
Mm-hmm.
I think 62.
In love and ready to start a family.
First home.
And it was where I grew up. So we had that in that room, and here's another little thing about the basement. Much later in her life, my mom, she had COPD, and in the daytime she had a caregiver with her, but at night she was alone. And she had said that one night she woke up and she thought, oh, I have to go. Oh, there's something going on. And she didn't say she didn't say what it was that was going on. I was like, so what was going on, Mom? What was going on? She goes, I don't know, but I had to go. So she gets her walker down the hallway, through the kitchen. And it sounds long, but it's not. It's pretty teensy if I really think about it. But down the hallway, through the kitchen, and to the basement door. And she stands there and she goes, and it's closed. She keeps the basement door closed because she really doesn't want to, she's like, I don't want to fall down those stairs by accident.
Sure.
But you knew the basement was there, didn't you? Anyway, so she stands there at the basement door and she said she thought, okay, I got to open it. And she opens the door, and on the stairs she sees my father, who had died. This was in 2000. I think this was 2015, 14 or 15, and my father had died in 2009. And he hadn't been in that house for many, many, many years because they had been divorced and everything. But even though they still talked and were still, I think they knew each other so very, very well.
You said that they've known each other since they were children, right?
Yeah, since they were kids, and they'd grown up in Texas. From Cisco to Ranger, Cisco, Texas, Ranger, Texas, Eastland County.
And they're really close. Practically the same.
Yeah. So he was standing there, she said, down in the middle of the staircase.
Wow.
And she said, Norman, what are you doing there? What are you doing? And she said he was quiet, and he didn't, and she knew it wasn't. She was shocked, like, what is he? Oh, wait. Okay. Oh, okay. So he's there. She knew he was dead. And she was like, well, now you just stay down there. You just stay down there. And he just stood. And then there was something else she said. I don't even know if she said anything, but she knew that he was there to just say, everything's okay. I'm here.
He was protecting herself. Your stepdad had already passed.
He had passed away.
She was there alone. And maybe he was protecting her from something that kind of everyone who's been down in that basement has a feeling.
That there's something weird about that.
And he showed up to protect
He showed up to just protect her. Yeah. And
that
I think
would not surprise me.
And she really felt that. And she was like, all right then. Well, you just stay there. Stay where you are then. And good night. And she shut the door and she went back to bed, and she was like, all right, well, I'm fine.
She's probably comforted that.
I think she probably was. I think so.
I would imagine. So I knew your mother.
Yeah.
I just have to tell you, when you said that she was really open and energy was probably just attracted to her. She was just a firecracker.
Yeah.
Your mother. She was magnetic.
Yep.
and effervescent.
Effervescent, that's a great word for her.
Yeah, and so kind and loving, and just one of those people that you meet once and you feel like you knew him your whole life.
Yeah, she had that, didn't she?
She had that type of ability to just meet the world on its own terms and like be okay with whatever it was.
Yeah.
She was just a very confident person, and I'm
and
not
funny.
Oh my goodness,
funny.
She was. She had the best sense of humor, but just like in knowing the type of spirit that she had, I'm sure there's other spirits that want to be around her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was the wonder if your father was coming home, because that was his first house that was his, right?
That was when they first moved there. Well, they actually lived in a different one for like a year.
Oh, okay.
But it was a rental. They rented one.
Okay. So that was their.
And then this was the home they bought. Yeah. But yeah, and I wouldn't doubt that he was there to take care of, to protect her, make sure she was okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't doubt that. It's sort of something about our spirits and
your family has such wonderful names, Elova and Neota, and your cousins.
And your mom told me that she named you after a Kleenex box.
Kimberly Clark. There's no Clark in it, but Kimberly. Yeah, indeed. Oh, there's another story that I missed.
Let's do it.
So, when I was in, I think it was the year 2000. Yeah, I was in a hospital. I had had an accident. I fell off
one of the arches in Utah onto your head.
Indeed.
Yeah, I just tell you that.
Yeah, I know that. The hardest part, it hurt, was my wrist because I crushed it because I tried to catch myself. But so I had a massive TBI, traumatic brain injury, and I was in the ICU in Grand Junction, Colorado, and my partner was there, and my father was there, my stepmother was there, my mom was there, my stepdad, everybody was there. And my mom said that at one point she came in, and they would only let a certain amount of people into the ICU at a time. You know, I mean, you can't, like, the whole crowd can't come in at once. So she said she walked in and she saw her mother, my grandmother, standing there with her hand on me. Oh. And my grandmother died in 1991? 92. Lord mighty. Anyway, so my grandmother was there, my mom said, with her hand on me. Oh. With her hand on, like, I think on one of my shoulders or something. Oh. And my mom said she came in, and there was no nurse there. There was nobody else there. But my mom said that she just saw her mom, and she got this message from her mother that she's all right. Mm. She's all right. She's gonna make it. She's gonna be all right. Wow. And she said she knew at that time that everyth's okay. Mm-hmm. Everything's gonna be good.
Amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And you were so near death.
I was. I actually had an encounter with some. Anyway.
Do you want to talk or not?
No, I can tell you.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't tell you. I can tell you that it was a time when I was not conscious of me. I did not know this.
Right.
And I did not know anything about where I was or what was going on. But I was told that this would happen, that they would hear noises, that I would try to get out of the bed, and you're not supposed to, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't have balance, and things take a while to get back. So that this was very early on, after the surgery. They did a brain surgery, and so put something in a biohazard bag and got rid of it. Wonder where that is. Anyway, I think it's on the clearance at the dollar store. So
Kim has her mother's sense of humor.
Yes, she does.
So So that I was I'm in that hospital and I would wake up. I just remember clearly waking up and I remember this thing and I don't know what it was, but it had a large stick in its hand and it was, it was a solid shape and not a solid shape. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
So it could shift in shape, I suppose. Yes. But it was tremendously big. And it would sit there and it had its stick and it would do this.
Oh no. Oh no.
And I would get, and I can't tell you how many times it happened or if it happened only once or what, but,
Shivers.
I just remember it being there and I remember being so afraid of it. And then I remember something happened and there was something, warm around me. And something that was, I would say, I don't know if it was light or what, but it was something around me. And then that would be gone. It would go.
Wow.
So, but also I was told that I would make a lot of noise and try to get out of the bed. So they put a big star on my door. So, and people who would come to see me, like my family and things like, oh, is she doing well? Yeah, no, it means it's an alert star. Yeah. Like she may be out of bed. You have to watch over her,
Yeah.
She'll wander. Not her Broadway dressing room.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
Wow, what a remarkable story.
Yes. When you came back, you said something and I never got the answer. But I mean, you were still like learning everything, learning language, learning names for things, learning how to walk and how to, all of those things. And one day, I was sitting with you in your apartment and you said, there was something so amazing. I don't know how you described it. Your face was glowing. She said, I've told this story other times about you, so I'm talking about you in third person.
That's all right.
You said something about how beautiful and glorious it was. I'm probably putting words into your mouth because you didn't have a lot of words at the time. And you said, and one day I will tell you, and you're going to be so happy. Oh. And it was something that you discovered in that kind of near-deathness that was really wonderful news. And then you forgot it. So whatever it was, when you finally came back to consciousness, the memory of whatever that glorious thing was gone. And I asked you at the time, I said, can you tell me? And you said, no, I can't tell you yet. Like, why?
What's this about?
Please tell me. Please tell.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you what that is. I can tell you one thing I do know is that at one point I had a moment when I walked out and I was supposed to start walking outside and stuff, and I went to a tree, this place in Grand Junction it's Grand Junction, Colorado, mountainy, blah, blah, blah. Beautiful area. And there was this tree that was by the hospital. There was a beautiful, God knows what, maybe probably a cottonwood. And it was just lovely. It was so pretty. And it was September. It was almost September. Things weren't quite changing. There wasn't quite autumn yet. So colors weren't changing. You know how the leaves change and it gets so lovely and fiery. But at that moment, when I walked out of there, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm you and you're me.
Oh, amazing.
And that was that moment of, that I remember clearly now, is that we are in this consciousness of me, Kim, me drive, me car.
Right.
Good. Yeah. Me go through drive-through. Yeah. Large latte. And individual, and which is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. But at that moment, it was, I am you and you are me.
So it's like connecting to a super consciousness.
Is that like we are it.
We are it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, so I don't know if that was it.
What a sublime
experience. It was a beautiful moment. And sometimes I think about it when I'm, and I see things. And I try try to do it today because there's some it that I don't want to be it with, but
yeah. Yes, there is.
We could say that, but we will not step into that zone.
No, it's a different podcast.
It is. It is.
Not this one.
It's a CNN podcast.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just so grateful that you were willing to come and share stories from your experiences and from Elova's experiences. And, I think that telling the stories of our loved ones, is a way that we memorialize them and keep them with us.
Yeah.
We don't want their stories to go. And so I'm really happy that we got to be here with you.
Yeah.
Telling her story.
I love it. Thank you.
We're going to have you back. So I know you've got some incredible stories,
yes.
and so you'll be back with us for those. And
I'm excited. I love it. I love you guys. I love your podcast.
We love you too.
Love you the most.
Too. I'm so glad that you're here.
Yay! Me too. Me too. You.
So all you folks out there, thank you for joining us, and come back and listen to more stories and share. But for now, so long, good friends. Until the next time when we meet back at the house.